So this morning I'd like to do three things. I want to acknowledge each of you who, for the role that you play with Morning Light Sangha. I want to share Thich Nhat Hanh's perspective on the role of Sangha on the Buddha path. And I want to talk about how and why the practice forms of the Plum Village tradition bring us joy. How they help us to wake up together. So first, I'd like to talk about the 18 people who have dedicated themselves to preparing an invitation for practice for you each and every morning. We call this group the service-ship team because our work is service. So I want to acknowledge you all and thank you. Could each of you who are in service-ship just bring your hands together in Gasho so the Sangha can look in your faces. So I want to offer a formal welcome to our newest Sangha members, some of whom have just joined since our retreat in September. So welcome, we're really glad you're with us. And I want to congratulate folks who've been practicing with us for 2 years, or 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. Some of you, if you've been practicing with us since the very first Morning Light in April of 2020, just give a little... So in Buddhism, the community of practitioners is called a Sangha. And Thich Nhat Hanh says that a Sangha is a community of friends practicing the Dharma together in order to bring about and maintain mindfulness. He says that practicing together fosters individual growth, and it also helps us to cultivate collective awareness. So a Sangha practices together in order to wake up together. When the Buddha awakened under the Bodhi tree, he touched the earth and proclaimed, "I and all beings wake up together." When we're concentrated, when we practice concentrated awareness as a Sangha, we and all beings wake up together with Buddha. A Sangha engages in activities that do at least three things. The activities help Sangha members stay grounded. They help us regain our solidity when distracted. And by design, the activities support each other in transforming and healing. Meeting here together almost daily exposes us to different perspectives. Different perspectives help us clarify our understanding of the teachings. We each bring our perspective. We each bring our Dharma to Morning Light. Sangha energizes us to heal and transform ourselves. And in healing ourselves, we heal the whole society. I know it doesn't always look like it, but it does heal the whole society. Sangha is more than just a community. Just participating in Sangha is a deep spiritual practice. So taking refuge in Sangha is one of our practice forms. Taking refuge in Sangha. So let's explore our practice forms and how we cherish them and why. So wherever you go to practice with a Sangha, no matter what sect or tradition of Buddhism, that Sangha will have a practice form. There's no right or wrong form, just the form that your particular tradition of Buddhism adopts. And even within a tradition, the specific form may vary based on the particular Sangha you belong to. For example, Morning Light Sangha, MLS, is an online Sangha, so walking meditation is not part of our daily practice form. This past Wednesday morning, Kathy offered a perfect invitation to practice. And one of the things she said was, we can make each moment a moment of practice. Making each moment a moment of practice is exactly the purpose of holding the form. So our practice just isn't when we sit and meditate, but from the moment we arrive to the moment we all log off, we're in practice. So what is this form? When we talk about our practice form, we're talking about our agreement on how we choose to practice together and how we will show up for each other. I don't know about you, but I experience so much happiness from our just showing up together each morning. Just when I see each of your faces come on the screen, I'm so happy to be together. So we can think of the practice form as the container of our practice. Practicing the form aligns us to wake up together. Alignment. We're aligning ourselves together. Therefore, it's really important that we all know the form and share a commitment to hold it. Why? So we all know what to do and when to do it. The form also helps us know what not to do, what isn't part of our form. So let's explore our practice forms. Those who've practiced with us know that we value the practice form of silence. Silence. Therefore, we enter the Zoom-do, our Zoom meditation hall, our Zendo Zoom-do. We're silent when we enter the Zendo, the Zoom-do. We're silent when we log on to Zoom. And before we turn on our camera, we check to make sure our microphone is muted, because we are intent on entering in silence. The silence supports everybody present. Practice leaders use as few words as possible and refrain from speaking except when the form calls for it, because we cherish silence. We value silence, stillness. The silence on the outside reflects the stillness on the inside. Our practice form is to arrive at least 5 minutes before the top of the hour, so that you can settle yourself before meditation. So whether you live where MLS starts at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. or 9 a.m., our practice form is to arrive at least 5 minutes early. As John Prescott says, if you're on time, you're late. Another of our practice forms is bowing. Bowing. I encourage you, before you take your seat each morning, first bow to your cushion or your chair. Why? Because your seat is a sacred place. It's made sacred by your presence. It is your seat of awakening, so bow. Bow to your seat. That's one way to make each moment a moment of practice. Next, we each connect to Morning Light on Zoom. Again, please make sure you're muted and then activate your camera. Then get yourself situated and settled in your seat. Maybe stretch your neck, roll your shoulders, and lean from side to side to find your center, and rest there. Breathe a couple of times and then bow to the Sangha. Bowing to each other is how we greet one another. When we bow with another person or to the whole Sangha, we acknowledge each other's awakened Buddha nature. With each bow, we're saying, the Buddha in me sees Buddha in you. So let's practice a bow together right now. Just make it slow. Be in your body as you bow. Another practice form that some of us enjoy is mindfully drinking a morning beverage, usually tea, coffee, or water. So if you're going to practice tea meditation before practice, then please arrive at least 10 minutes before the top of the hour. Why? So you have time to enjoy your tea or your coffee well before the sitting meditation starts. With tea, once you've settled yourself, smiled, bowed to the Sangha, you may sip your tea using the form that Thai taught us. And that was, in almost every Dharma talk, at one point he'd pour and pick up his cup of tea. He'd hold it in front of him. Breathe in the aroma of the tea and slowly take a sip. So it's our practice to refrain from drinking tea or any beverage during the last couple of minutes just before Amala starts. Again, it's so that you can settle. So put the tea aside, put the tea away, and ready yourself for the morning meditation practice. And our form is to not be distracted by drinking anything during the meditation period. So let the tea sit and wait for you. So another practice form and a way that we practice silence is by not using the chat from the time that we log on in the morning until the Dharma Sharing period after sitting meditation. It's kind of the same as talking in the meditation hall. So the only reason that we don't disable the chat entirely is that sometimes the morning practice host and co-host need to message one another about something. So that's why the chat is there. And you're welcome to use it after the formal sitting practice. At the top of the hour, a practice leader will wake up the bell and say, "Good morning, morning light." When we hear the bell, we know a bow is coming, so everyone should just bow in response. Good morning, morning light, and a bow. In this instance, a bow says, "I'm with you. We're all together." It also tells the practice leader, "I can hear you." So the practice leader isn't asked to ask if we can hear. Another practice form is the practice that leaders offer a brief and focused invitation to practice. These invitations should make absolutely clear the practice you're invited to take up during the following 25 minutes. They invite you into present moment awareness. You're invited to take up the practice offered to you, or if you have a different regular practice, such as counting your breaths or following your breath, then you're welcome to do that practice. The kinds of practices you may be offered are awareness of breathing in and out, specific ways to maintain mindfulness. Maybe noticing or naming thoughts or sensations as they come and go. You might be asked to generate loving kindness or nurture a character quality such as gratitude or compassion. Sometimes you may be invited to simply listen or just enjoy your breathing. It's really unique to our practice that we are invited to enjoy just breathing in and out. And just yesterday, we introduced the practice of awareness itself. So I will tell you this, the practice leaders put a lot of time and care into the daily invitations. So I know I speak for all of us when I say that it brings us a great deal of joy when you take an invitation to heart and practice deeply with it, and then share about it after in Dharma Sharing. So I would also like to, if you choose not to do the practice that is offered to you, or if you didn't quite catch what was being offered, don't try to figure it out. Don't try to sort it out. Just practice mindful breathing or counting your breaths. Most importantly, we are not inviting you to think. We're inviting you to meditate, to be present, to enjoy your breathing. So another of our practice forms is the way we invite and listen to bells. Te teaches us that the sound of the bell is the voice of the Buddha calling us back to our true home. The sound of the bell is the voice of the Buddha inviting us to awaken. As I mentioned before we invite a bell, we wake up the bell with that sound. Tai always said that we wake up the bell so that when we invite the bell, we don't surprise the bell. It's also so we don't surprise everybody in the Zoom do. Then for the next 25 minutes, we practice with the invitation that we've been offered. So after the 3 bells have been invited to begin meditation, please sit as still as possible. Personally, I really enjoy the settled stillness that falls over this Sangha when we meditate together. There is stillness. We settle. Now, I do want to make a point that some people are simply unable to sit still for physical or personal reasons. And if you're one of those people who just need to move during meditation, please turn off your camera so that your movements don't distract other people. And that should not apply to most of us. Most of us sit beautifully. Some of us choose to turn the camera off during sitting. That's okay. We have noticed that some of us begin MLS in one place in our home and then find that we have to move somewhere else. So please turn off your camera during your move. We've had some very interesting tours backwards through people's homes. So you're not distracting. It's just turn your camera off if you have to move. Now, the exception to movement on your screen is if our fur babies decide to join us for meditation. The presence of our pups and our kitties warms our hearts and increases our joy and happiness, so they are absolutely welcome. A little tail going by the screen is a mindfulness bell to come back. Then at approximately 24 minutes after we began meditation, the practice leader will wake up the bell again and invite 2 bells. And after that second bell, the whole Sangha bows together in unison. Hold the bow. And then we're often invited to stretch. Take a stretch right now if you need to. So that's the practice forms of bells. Another of our practice forms is sharing the merit, is Dharma sharing. Dharma sharing is first and foremost a practice of deep listening. When we're listening intently for what the person is saying, we also listen to their facial expressions and their tone of voice. We give the speaker our full attention. And when that person finishes speaking and bows out, we take 2 breaths before the next person speaks. So when you're ready to share, you bow and say, "This is Michael bowing in," so people know that you're sharing. Then share your insight or whatever's alive for you. And when you're Dharma sharing, go to essence. There's only 5 minutes for formal Dharma sharing, so express your realization with just the words that are needed to let the Sangha know what's alive for you right now. Sometimes someone's share might make you want to ask a question about it. So our Dharma sharing form is not to ask about something that is shared during Dharma sharing. You're welcome to share an insight from your practice on that subject, but please refrain from offering some advice. And if you yourself ask a question during Dharma sharing, another Sangha member may respond with an answer that is alive for them, or your question may go unanswered. If you ask a question that doesn't get answered, please stay in the kitchen. Stay afterwards and be in the kitchen. There's much more time to explore your question, and there'll be different Sangha eyes on your question and different points of view, and people will share. So the kitchen's a wonderful place to explore questions that you have. I know those who stay in the kitchen will back me up. Not everybody stays in the kitchen, but many do. And I know you'll back me up when I say that wonderful conversations and explorations happen in the kitchen, right? And by the way, if you ask a question that doesn't get answered, a service ship team member may attempt to reach out to you and explore your question. You know, Margaret Alexander is always noticing who needs a little extra attention, or who may have looked like they have a question that didn't get answered, and she'll let the practice leaders know. We'll follow up with you. So the practice leader might cut the Dharma sharing short if there are Sangha announcements, like an announcement for our retreat, days of mindfulness, opportunities to study with our monastics, or special meetings like this one. So the last practice the practice form I want to share with you today is sharing the merit. Notice I said merit, not merits. My teacher Eileen was a stickler that we share the merit of the practice. The words we say or chant are, and I would sing it, but I'm a little hoarse today, don't know why. May the merit of this practice benefit all beings and bring peace. People often ask me, so what are we doing when we share the merit of our practice? In fact, what exactly is the merit of our practice? So I researched and studied this very question several years ago. And I learned that the Pali and Sanskrit words that translate as merit can also be translated as happiness. When we practice individually and collectively, we create a field of merit, a field of happiness. So when we practice together each morning, I certainly sense the field of happiness that we create together, don't you? I feel that field of happiness. I know you must feel it too because you keep showing up day after day, year after year. Practicing together is fun. Practicing together helps us touch personal and community happiness. So we end our mornings with our aspiration to share that happiness with all beings. The practice form of sharing the merit. In conclusion, Morning Light Sangha grew out of an aspiration to create a community that makes daily Sangha and meditation practice available and accessible to anyone. We just invite you to follow our practice forms, support this whole Sangha by practicing the form. The original followers of the Buddha didn't call themselves Buddhists. They spoke of one another as practicing the way. The way of the Buddha is also called the Dharma. So each morning, Morning Light Sangha renews our commitment to take up the way of the Buddha. When we gently settle our busy minds, we wake up. We practice together. We wake up together. Morning Light Sangha is a community that supports our personal awakening as well as our collective awakening. There's great merit. There's great joy and happiness in helping one another awaken. I remember when I was first exposed to the notion of practice forms, it all sounded kind of OCD. Why all this focus on these rules? They're not rules. They're to help us stay present, moment by moment. So my teacher asked me to just simply hold the form and see what happened. And like the sound of the bell, the practice forms bring us back to our true home in the present moment. I found through personal experience that holding the form became a lovely and familiar container for my practice. Holding the form is now a trusted friend that helps me transform and awaken. So my teacher Eileen often said, hold the form and the form will hold you. The form will hold you in making every moment a moment of practice.